Hey, can you make me a prince?
Let's see. Chicken a la king? No. Yeah, that's king crab. I hate when they do that. Caesar salad. Et tu, Brute? Nope. Aha. To make a prince. Now, is that an official wish? Say the magic words.
Genie, I wish for you to make me a prince.
All right! Yo, yo, woo, woo, woo. First, that fez and vest combo is much too 3rd century. These patches, what are we trying to say? Beggar? No, let's work with me here.
It's extras and epilogue. Open the beer. Lights, cameras, action. Movies and reviews. Things you might not know. What happens to your favorite characters? Let's get on with the show.
A kind-hearted street urchin, street rat, and a power-hungry sorcerer vie for a magic lamp containing a bombastic genie, I like that term, who has the power to make their deepest wishes come true. It is Animation April here on Podzilla 1985. We're a week back, and tonight we are covering the 1990s wish-granting absolute classic in every sense of the word, Wishmaster, starring Andrew Divoff. Wait, oh, get a note?
Take two.
No, that's not what we're reviewing. That's not what we're reviewing. I apologize.
Let's get another one. We're still rolling, and go ahead.
It's Aladdin here on Podzilla 1985. Hey, what up? What up?
What up?
What up? The theater's open. My name's Shannon Young, etc., etc. Here with me, of course, we have Double H.
Oh, there's a big surprise. I think I'm gonna have a heart attack and die from that surprise.
I'm molten. And with us all month for Animation April, better movies this time. It's Lindsay Wolfgong.
I forgot what quote I was going to use, but I have a little plush Raja.
You could just always hit him with the classic Jafar. Jafar.
We got a big problem here. And what do you think of this picture? I think I'm making a weird face in it.
It's honestly it's still weird being back. We took a week off due to weather and my surgery, amongst other things. I mean, we're all having a time of it, to be honest with the listeners. Mm-hmm. But it just, I don't know, man. It still feels weird being back. It feels like we were gone for a month instead of just a week. I don't know why.
Yeah. It felt like an extended period of time.
Long week.
Yes, partially.
It's pretty rare that we skip an entire week.
Yeah, and like
even at the holidays.
We don't do it anymore, but at the end of the year, we would skip until New Year's. Nowadays, we just keep going because what else are we going to do? Drink? Sure. Yeah. Hold on.
We could do that here. Oh, there he goes.
Yeah.
And tell him what you're celebrating too, because this is not just an Animation April episode.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show for the first time ever, the 100th episode of Extras and Epilogues.
Hey-oh. Yeah, it is.
I have an actual
Does
button.
that mean the episode is sentient?
Yes. We're welcoming the episode to the episode.
Hello, everyone.
There it is right there. So, before we get into Aladdin real quick, just for those of you who are big fans of E&E, and I there's a lot of them, I think it's probably the most beloved show on the network. Maybe not the most listened to, because I still think After Dark is what most people, tune into and listen to. But it always gets the best reviews, rave reviews from people all over the place. And I want to bring up once again, in case they missed the story, and I apologize if I sound weird. I'm still kind of sitting in a weird way, leaning back with my mic. I know I don't sound quite right, so I apologize. Extras and Epilogues started I had just watched Evil Dead Rise, and I had like a half fever dream, half awake. I texted Hunter at like 3 a.m. and said, "Yo, I got this idea for a show."
It was the middle of the summer, so I was still awake, and I responded immediately, yes. And also this, we kind of improv'd it. It was a yes and, because you were like, I want to talk about what happens
it was
after
a little bit
movies
different.
end.
Right. It wasn't going to be a movie review show at first.
Right. Well, I was like, that's great. I think we should do more with it. So let's make it, a full review. We'll do lots of other stuff, and then that's like a big part of the show. Because originally, I don't know that we ever fully went through with this, but we were. I know we bandied around the idea of this being kind of arguably entertaining, like it was going to be a little game show, like where we talk about the movie, we review it, we enjoy it, etc., and then it was going to be, all right, who's got the best idea? Like the ending was like a who's got the best idea of what happens.
Yeah, but I like the way it turned out. I think it's
I was
good.
gonna say we
Because
abandoned
now
that
we just
pretty
start
quickly.
riffing off each other like, yes, but this.
We've come
Yeah, I
up
was
with
gonna
some
say
great
it
pitches.
becomes improv.
Yeah.
The ending becomes improv. It's very yes and. Here's what I think it's a TV show. Yes, and it should be it's set in this time frame. Yeah, so it's worked out. But yeah, we're officially at 3 digits, triple digits.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy and so sad that Evil Dead Rise is the originator, because I'm happy because it's Evil Dead, and the fact that Evil Dead will always be the beginning is very cool. But you know, in hindsight, I wished it had been Ghostbusters or Tombstone or one of our most beloved films.
In fairness, Ghostbusters was episode 9,
Yeah.
and Tombstone was episode 18. So we didn't wait very long to get into the stuff that we loved.
We didn't talk about this at all, by the way. And I hate to bring the mood down a little bit, but Val Kilmer passed away. I mean, this was a little while ago, obviously. But this is
on that week that happened.
Yeah, this is the movie focus show. I'm not saying anything anybody's never heard before, but I truly believe Val Kilmer is one of the greatest actors of our lifetime. He's
very, very good.
Superb talent.
Real treasure.
Superb talent across the board.
Yep.
Which I believe, Lindsay, I might be wrong with this. Did he get his start in Disney films? Because he was
I don't know.
He was in
I
a
know
bunch
he
of
was in
young-
Willow.
Well, I know he was like a young hacker in a movie. I couldn't remember if it was Disney or maybe it was Kurt Russell that started. I don't remember. Somebody started
I'd have
in
to look
kids'
it up.
films.
I really don't remember.
Boy, I wish it was true.
It's not a
Top
good example,
Gun.
but I have his Batman poster.
You're right.
So
it's not a good
he
example.
was in a movie. He's in a movie called Top Secret.
That's the one. That's the one I'm
Vaguely
thinking of.
remember.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it was Disney. Well, it was distributed by Paramount, so it was kind of its own thing. And then Real Genius after
Real
that,
Genius.
which
That's the one I was thinking about. Yeah, that's the one.
Real Genius is TriStar.
TriStar.
It was
Okay.
TriStar. They handled that one.
That was the first thing I ever saw him in, was Real Genius. You know, he was a kid actor, not a kid actor, but he was really, really young. I didn't see him in Top Gun originally. Honestly, the first movie I ever saw Val Kilmer in, as weird as it sounds, was The Saint. That was the first film. The Saint.
Good movie.
And one that people don't talk about a lot, at least pertaining to his role, was Heat, which is a fantastic film. Michael Mann, Pacino, De Niro. I mean, it's
incredible.
It's such a good movie.
Everyone who talks about how much they love The Dark Knight, it's Heat.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight is Heat. Just go watch Heat.
Yep, 100%.
Which, ironically, I think the first time I saw Val Kilmer was as Batman. I really do. I think as Batman and Batman Forever, it might have been the first thing I ever saw him.
For me, technically, it was Willow, but for like knowing who he was, Batman.
So I was going to mention, this guy, Top Secret and Real Genius. I can't comment on because I've never seen them. But his third movie is Top Gun. His fourth movie is Willow, and his sixth is The Doors. Like,
I forgot he was in The Doors.
Yeah, Jim Morrison. Yeah. That was his
I never
breakout
fully
role.
watched the movie is the biggest problem.
They did not want him. They did not want him in that movie. Oliver Stone numerous times turned him down, and he filmed, it was like a 7 or 8 minute video of himself performing one of their songs as Jim, and Oliver was like, well, shit.
Okay.
I can't not cast him now.
I read an interview with one of the co-stars of the film. I don't remember which one. It was a female. It was an actress, I should say. And she mentioned that they all showed up for the auditions and they're all, dressed nice and all that. And then this guy pulls up in this fancy car dressed like Jim, like to the T, and it was Val Kilmer. And they were like, well, that's the guy, right? That's going to be him.
Right.
Yeah. Kilmer. Oh my God. Just killed it in every role he was in. I think Tombstone is my favorite. It's not controversial. Tombstone's my favorite role. His performance as Doc Holliday is legendary. I mean, it's just legendary. In a movie full of greatness, he's the greatest. So
yeah. I mean, again, the Honest Trailers thing that they did today for it in honor of Val Kilmer specifically was like, Tombstone is like a movie where you go, what if we made a movie, but it was all just the good parts? And that's what it is. There's no part. Well, okay.
Yeah.
To critique that a little bit, because we talked about it when we reviewed that show for that movie for this show. The love interest, the whole thing with them is not great, but that's not this show. Right. It is this show, but we did that.
But we did that show, and even the worst parts of it aren't terrible. They're just not as good as the good parts. You know,
exactly.
Yeah, and then legendary career, legendary actor. I was really sad when he passed away. He did a documentary. I'll never watch it. I think Lindsay watched it. I'll never watch it.
No, I sobbed like a baby. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
no, I won't do it.
upset that he's gone, but I'm so glad he's not suffering anymore.
Yeah, I'm not
like,
gonna watch
it was a
that.
really good documentary, but my God, it was heartbreaking.
We can sum him up pretty quickly here. Because I've been looking over his Wikipedia for the stuff that we've been talking about, and I can't believe I glossed over this. In 1992, which brings us back to Aladdin to a degree, film critic Roger Ebert remarked, quote, "If there's an award for the most unsung leading man of his generation, Kilmer should get it."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that says it all right there. All right. Well, we just wanted to mention it here at the beginning of the show. We didn't get the chance to talk about it very much, and we're all big Val Kilmer fans. So, but we are keeping Animation April going. Last week we did Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which I believe got 2 thumbs up across the board. Will Aladdin follow suit? Let's find out. Let's get into it. Released in November 11th, 2002. November 11th, 1992. Directed by John Musker and Ron Clements, who also did the Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid, Hercules on Moana. You know, last week, my first show back, other than plays, after dying on the operating table 4 times, and they had to bring me back, I didn't curse one time, I don't believe, last week. It wasn't until about 45 to 50 minutes into the show, Hunter said motherfucker at some point, and I went, wow, that's the first time we've cursed this whole show. I didn't get through 5 minutes this time, and I'm just swearing like a sailor because I can't get the words right.
Well, they don't come out so good.
I'll get
sometimes
lodged up in my throat. Written by 16 writers. Hunter, I need you to pull up that list. You wanted me to remind you.
Yeah, I literally wrote a note for
writers. I know it went through a lot of changes because originally it was supposed to have Aladdin's mom in there still and a little more closer to like the actual like fable. But,
so yeah, it's based on the story Aladdin and the Magic Lamp from 1001 Nights. It's the Arabian Nights thing.
Yeah.
But to give these people their credit, and these are just the people who have Wikipedia links: Bernie Mattinson, Roger Ehlers, Don Yeeps. It looks Swedish. I'm not sure. Sue Nichols, Francis Glavis, Daryl Rooney, Kevin Lima, Chris Sanders, and Brian Pimentel. Those are just the people who have links. Then there's also Kevin Harkey, Larry Laker, James Fuigi, I think, Kirk Hansen, Rebecca Rees, David S. Smith, and Patrick A. Ventura, all credited with writing this film in some form or fashion. I don't know.
This film,
like Lindsay said, I have to assume that it went through a lot of rewrites over time.
Yeah, because this is
Beauty and the Beast went through a ton, and this one came after it, and I'm assuming they probably maybe had to make a few changes after Howard Ashman passed, because I know he had started doing some of the music for it, and then Tim Rice came in to help Alan Menken with the rest of it. So depending on what scenes might have been added or just tones changed.
So if you want to give specific credit to anyone, Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio, who were 2 of the people that I don't think I even mentioned them. Okay, the screenplay, it says, was written by Clements and Musker, who were the directors, as well as Ted Elliott and Ted Rossio. They are the ones who are credited with doing the rework that removed Aladdin's mother, strengthening Jasmine. They actually did delete several songs, which can kind of be felt. They wanted Aladdin to be rewritten more like a young Harrison Ford.
I could see that.
Yeah.
They redid Iago from an uptight British archetype to Gilbert Gottfried.
That's
so
good.
that's
you
end up getting that
was
later.
Supposed to be British, which is crazy.
He was supposed to be Zazu, right? Because you get him in the Lion King.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I think
and
they
that's
could have
the last major change.
They could have used a little bit more writing to make Jasmine strong. Because she's still just kind of
look, baby steps. Baby steps.
I mean, all things considered, you know.
Here's my promise to you guys tonight, and I mean this. I'm not trying to be a dick or anything. I will not compare this to the live action film because I really love the live action film. It's unfair to compare the two because I think they're both good. Not to give away my review at the end.
I agree.
But I think it's completely unfair for me to go like, well, I like this better than the live action. That's stupid. I'm not going to do that. So that's my promise. I'm not going to be a jerk or try to do anything like that. I do want to bring up one thing real quick though. And it doesn't have anything to do with the live action. I just saw at the end of the notable trivia, it says, couldn't Aladdin have just used his third wish to be a prince again and then let Jasmine wish the genie free? I literally turned to Lindsay and said that. Literally the exact same thing. You read my mind.
But again, it makes much more sense to just change the law.
Well, and we also don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how close it follows it, but typically once someone makes their third wish, the lamp vanishes. It's not just you pass it to somebody else.
But that doesn't happen here. And his lamp doesn't go away because he still has a lamp after the fact.
Well, plus after Jafar makes his third wish, the lamp's still there too. So, yeah.
Right.
But who cares? Because they, like you said, it makes more sense to be progressive and go, well, it's a stupid law anyway. It would suck if they had to, still adhere to the whole, like, well, we can't give you freedom, but we can make him a prince again.
And I don't want to spend all day on it because we haven't even gotten through the notes here, but also, early on, it's not just implied that Jasmine is not, that she has to marry a prince. She's got to marry she's not allowed outside of the palace. That's the bigger issue.
Yeah, she's stuck
How is she supposed to meet anybody else if she can't leave there? So the bigger thing should be let her go meet some people and then see if she likes somebody. Because to be fair, when she left, the first guy she met, she fell in love with.
Yeah.
And that's a problem too.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Well, he's so charming though because he was the first one.
Ariel, Anna.
He's the first one. Oh, let's get through
Aurora's
the
in
rest
that
of
boat.
this.
Snow White's in that boat.
Starring a whole lot of people who are not brown. That's all I'll say about it.
Correct.
Scott Wiener, I think.
Nope. Winger.
He's from Full House.
He's from Full House. He's
DJ's boyfriend.
What's his name?
Steve. Yeah.
He eats a lot with the Letterman jacket.
When I think of sand street rats, that's the guy I think of.
Oh. I didn't know where that was going.
No, God, no. Robin Williams.
Yeah. Robin Williams is the real star of the entire movie. And he's only not credited first because Scott Winger plays Aladdin, importantly. He is literally the protagonist of the whole, fucking thing.
We'll come back to Robin Williams because I agree with you, but that might not be good for me. Linda Larkin, who plays Jasmine, I'm assuming. That's the only woman in the movie.
Yes.
And I think the real star of the film, Gilbert Gottfried. He stole the show for me.
If Robin Williams wasn't in the movie, then Gilbert Gottfried would 100% be the
iconic character. Well,
in this film,
see, that's the thing with Aladdin, though. You get iconic stacked on top of iconic. A lot of Disney films have some really iconic characters, but hardly ever is there a film where you have two genuinely iconic and genuinely funny and interesting characters like Genie and Iago. I just think that's great, and I was always a big Gilbert Gottfried fan. I was till he passed away. Even when he said stupid things, I still liked him.
Well, it's Norm Macdonald. I mean, he's in a lot of the same situations.
Exactly.
And they come from the same kind of cloth. So,
runtime of 90 minutes. It's a good time. It's a good time to be had. Mm-hmm. We always say that's the sweet spot. Budget versus box office: $28 million budget versus $504 million box office. It did decent. It did.
Yeah,
it did
I remember
okay.
seeing it in theaters.
Made a couple dollars. Yeah, I was not to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but I was the target audience for this movie. This movie came out when I was 7 years old, pretty close to being 8. I was gonna say I was a boy, and there has some implications there. But I was. This was clearly the boy Disney movie, right before the Lion King.
Yeah.
Aladdin was it.
Yeah.
This was the one. They wanted you watching this film. Yes, the main movie or the main song is about love. And yes, the plot in general is about that. It was still pretty clearly meant to be the one where it's like, look, we got a boy, we got a guy, he's the star.
He's an action hero.
Do fun things.
Action.
Yeah. Have fun. We're gonna kill some people, we're gonna talk about killing people. It's the whole thing.
Also some pretty good video games.
3rd or 4th grader.
Yeah, so the video games, I mean, prior to this, they weren't really doing that, right?
I had the Tiger handheld one.
Well, that's not good. It's barely a video game.
No, it's not. But I learned how to beat it.
So Disney did do a lot of video games during this time period, because I believe obviously
But
Aladdin
not for
was
their
on
movies, right?
Well, I was gonna say Aladdin was on Super Nintendo, and Nintendo had a bunch of Disney games
And
with
Genesis.
And Genesis. I just had the Super Nintendo. Oh, don't get me started on that fight. That's a whole other fight right there. But Nintendo had a bunch of games from Disney, but they were all based on the TV shows. So Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, DuckTales,
Right.
DuckTales.
Darkwing Duck, etc., etc. So yeah, the only ones that I specifically remember, there wasn't Little Mermaid on Nintendo, which actually apparently wasn't that bad. But for the most part, they were just the TV shows. Now on the Super Nintendo, you got the movies, and those games were always good. Aladdin, The Lion King, as hard as it was, like Disney and Capcom made magic back in the day.
That's what I'm saying. It started with this, because then there was a Beauty and the Beast one I remember that was on Genesis as well, but that was afterward. There was The Lion King, that was afterward. All of it was after the fact.
Yeah.
So
they knocked it out of the park with Aladdin. Both Genesis and Super Nintendo are both great games. Different, but great in their own ways. Critical reception.
Also very difficult.
Very difficult. Disney, it's the original Dark Souls. Critical reception, 96% critical rating on Rotten Tomatoes. That's an 8.4 out of 10. 86 out of 100 on Metacritic, which is universal acclaim. And a cinema score of A+ on an A to F scale, with 3 out of 4 stars from Roger Ebert, who said, most of the Arab characters have exaggerated facial characteristics, hooked noses, glowering brows, thick lips, but Aladdin and the princess look like white American teenagers. Yes, about Aladdin, not so much about Jasmine. I don't think that was true. He did praise Robin Williams endlessly, but was critical of the music.
Yeah, I don't have the review in front of me. I can pull it up later if we want to, but I made a point to include that because where everything else was very as good as it gets, he was a little more critical of it there. The criticism of the music, by the way, was not that he didn't like it. He didn't think there was enough of it, if I remember correctly. He felt like it was a little bit devoid of music in the way that
soundtrack.
Yeah, in the way that other Disney movies were not of the time. I'll try to find that.
As someone who has most of those Renaissance films soundtracks, all of the vocal tracks on the Aladdin one are on one side of the tape, where almost every single other one, they bleed over onto the other side before you go into the instrumentals.
Well, I was wrong. Just as a point of fact, he did actually say, and I'm quoting from his review, the music isn't as magical as in the 2 previous films he was discussing, The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast.
Which were both Howard Ashman and Alan Menken.
Which was, he says, for this one, he collaborated with Tim Rice on 3 more songs, and he said there's some ineffable quality that seems to be missing.
Look, I'll say this about the music.
You can tell that there's a disconnect a little bit. I still like all of it, but there's still a disconnect.
Yeah.
I'll say this about the music. That's the only time I'm going to reference the live action one. I swear. This is it. This is the only one.
We're not going to do this except this one time.
Well, because I have 2 points to make. I do genuinely prefer, after watching it tonight, I genuinely prefer the music in the newer one, because I think they just had more, they had more ability, not more ability, they had more time to work with it. They took something that was already great and they could expand upon it, whereas this being the original. With that said, I really like the Aladdin soundtrack. I think it has some of my favorite Disney songs of all time. I think Whole New World is probably my favorite Disney song of all time, like legitimately. I love Whole New World. Even when I'm like stiff-lipped, if I hear that song, I'll get a little teary-eyed. That, to me, that is a beautiful song, and it's a beautiful sequence too. Flying over the world. I mean, like it doesn't get better than that to me. Prince Ali is another one of my absolute favorites. That's a banger.
Yeah, Friend Like Me.
See, I really like the reprise with Jafar, and One Jump's reprise, the slower
which
version
is his
of him going back home.
Yeah, it's Jafar's only song in the whole movie, and that was one of the points of the trivia. He's one of the few Disney villains that does not get his own song, because the closest thing he gets is his version of Prince Ali. It's a reprise of an earlier, rendition from earlier in the movie, and it's not really his own song. It's just a twist on it. So,
which is weird, because he has a great voice.
Well, Jasmine doesn't get a song of her own at all. And you can tell when we talk about
action,
well, I was gonna say,
which I believe came from Broadway.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it did. It did. I haven't mentioned it, but we got to see the theater version, the stage version, a couple of years ago at the Fox, and you can sort of tell that it's missing in this movie. When I watched it today, my guess is around the time that we're first introduced to her and her father storms off and all that. It's either there or when she's going over the castle wall. It seems like there should be a song there, and that's I think where she gets her song in the live action one, if I remember correctly.
And it's a great
I think
song.
part of it is because of Aladdin being the main focus, he kind of gets his I want song, and so she doesn't, when most of the times it's the heroine that gets the I want song.
Well, it's a boys movie, like we said earlier. You know?
Yep, and that's exactly why. I know part of me thinks that's not it.
Let me draw back to what I was saying about Robin Williams. Now that we've got all the details in here, let's get to it. So, here's... Oh, God, I'm going to get crucified. Here's my biggest problem. I was never a big Robin Williams fan. I don't dislike the man, don't get me wrong. And I think he is great as Genie, but like, I think your enjoyment of Genie really depends on how much you like Robin Williams' zany humor. And it doesn't speak to me as much as it speaks to everybody else. Now, with that said,
they weren't going to do it without him.
Well, he wasn't nearly as annoying as I expected him to be, because I haven't seen this movie in forever. I think I said that the other day. I've seen this movie like once or twice when I was a kid, and I haven't seen it forever since then. I was really afraid I was going to dislike it because Robin Williams was going to be too much. I don't think he was too much, but he's still... I'm still not a huge Robin Williams guy. And I don't mean any disrespect from that or to belittle his, importance or anything, because
it's not your cup of tea.
Not this version of him. Kaz, if he was here, he would agree with me in this because we both agree on this. We both like Robin Williams. I love him in serious roles. I love him in. He's a great villain. You believe it or not, sometimes comedians are the best villains. His performance as Genie is very over the top. And I think whether you like that or not will really kind of gauge whether or not you love this movie or like this movie. But that I'll shut up now and keep drinking, and I'm gonna let Hunter and Lindsay talk about it a little bit because I'm drinking. Go ahead.
I'm looking up part of my facts at the moment because I don't want to confuse myself.
This movie is built around. This movie is built around Robin Williams. I mean, the whole thing works because he is there, because he plays the role the way that he does. And like I said, I get it. I get that he's, that version of Robin Williams, which was the version, right? I mean, what he's doing here is his stand-up, but family friendly.
This is him. Yeah.
And I think it works. I think that character only works if it is sort of out of time, if he can pull upon things that are out of that reality and out of space. Which I love. I think it's great. And don't get me wrong, it's always going to be somewhat dated because it was made since he can pull from pop culture from all time. He can't pull from the future because we can't pull from the future because we don't know how to do that, right? So it's always going to be he can only pull so far from that. That means the references he makes as we get further and further into the future become dated, even if they're not specifically of that time. The older ones, I mean, he makes a Groucho Marx reference that in the 90s would have been from what the 30s or 30s, 40s. Back. Yeah. Even then, even watching this movie as a kid, I had no idea what the hell was going on.
Go ahead. We talked about this earlier. We were discussing the fact that they're making a new Gremlins film. And, famously, we disagreed on Gremlins. I'm a huge Gremlins fan, but I even said today that I don't think it'll work because it's just going to be it's not going to have the original magic. It's just going to be meme heavy. This movie is kind of meme heavy before meme was a thing, except it's sincere. That's what I was going to say. It doesn't need, you don't really need the context for it to work. No.
Any of the references that Robin Williams makes, when you know the story behind it, you go, oh, I get that. It's Groucho Marx, or it's Jack Nicholson, or it's Rodney Dangerfield, or whatever. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
But even without the actual knowledge of who those characters are supposed to be, it still works.
It's still funny.
It's still funny. You still get what's going on in that moment. You go, okay, he's just a big, strong guy, or he's just a real cool guy, or whatever.
It's not pandering, like I assumed the Gremlins film will be.
I'm going to say this isn't about the live action thing, but this is one of those things I'm going to allow myself to say once and not say it over and over again because I'm afraid I will. This to me is the epitome of the Disney mantra of it's got to be something that the parents and the kids can watch together and both love.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be something that a parent has to suffer through because the kid wants to watch it 5 times a day. It should be something that they can enjoy as well. And that's what this is. And I think that's why so many times we talk about how, that movie ages well. Like, I loved it when I was a kid and now I love it when I'm an adult. Well, that might be true, but it's probably also because it's just really well made.
Yeah. Because
it's just something that's well made for all ages. It's interesting for one age level and it's interesting for another. And that's what this is.
And, I'm glad it was successful because a lot of the times nowadays, the films that I can't do that. Look, I just want to talk about how much I hate this whole Minecraft thing. I'll save it for tomorrow because you've seen it, right?
We should.
You've seen.
I mean, I've seen the memes and all that shit. If that's
the
what
mess.
you're talking about. Yeah.
The mess.
Oh yeah. Oh, don't get me started on that either.
Yeah,
that's an AD. Well, tomorrow from when we post this, but yes, that's an AD topic.
And
sure.
Listen to us on AD as we talk about Minecraft. Because boy, do I got a lot of things to say. Back to this film, though.
Yeah.
Back to this film. I love the characters. The animation kind of threw me off. I don't know why. We started watching it and I was like, the animation at first it felt cheap. I don't know why.
Can I take a guess? I'm 100% not gonna try to steal this from Lindsay because she's the animator. She's the one who knows how this works. This movie uses a little bit of CG. There's a little bit of CG. There's some stuff that's done differently. So a lot of it is 2D and hand drawn. But the times that they try to, and it's not really I don't think it's ever in the same scene in the same cell. But when they kind of go from one to the other, you can really tell the difference between what's done that way. And okay, the first thing is she's nodding, so I know I'm right to some degree. The first one that really caught me was the cave collapsing.
Yeah,
part of the cave I think is done that way early on. Yeah. The lava scene in the cave, some of that lava is done with that
maze runner type thing of him getting back out. 100%.
When he gets thrown to the ends of the earth at the end when they're in the snowy cliff or whatever, some of that is done that way with the little thing tumbling over him. Yeah, there were definitely times where I went, oh, some of this is computer animated.
Yeah,
and then a lot of it's not, and I think that's where I think that's the
anime did that a lot in the 90s
they were getting better with it. They were experimenting more with it. Technically, the first Disney film that they used computer animation in was The Great Mouse Detective. And they used bits and pieces going up through. So like the clockwork stuff in there, Oliver and Company, they did a few scenes in the New York. You couldn't see a lot of it in Little Mermaid. They didn't do much of anything, but like Rescuers Down Under, they did a bunch with like McLeach's truck. Obviously, Beauty and the Beast, the whole ballroom scene, they wouldn't have been able to make as amazing as they did without the computer animation. And because that ballroom scene did so well, they kind of went a little ham with Aladdin. But the least obvious computer animation of it is the carpet is completely done in computer animation because that pattern on him would have been a bitch to animate.
Yeah, to draw every time out like that.
So what they did is they still did hand-drawn animation for it, but then they fed it into the computer so that they could wrap it with the pattern and then blend it all back in.
Because I feel like a lot of times Lion King gets credit for being like, it's the hyena sequence.
Lion King is when they started to perfect it.
Gazelle? It's the
water
thing.
Yeah, the water bison.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah.
That gets a lot of credit for that. And I was like, it's got to be before that.
Look, I don't want to correct Lindsay, but I'm gonna have to.
Go ahead.
Oh, hang on. Can I beat you to it? Because I beat her to it. I'm gonna beat you to it.
Try.
You're thinking about Tron, aren't you?
Motherfucker, how does he do it?
So good.
Okay,
so you
fully animation, not live action added in. But yeah,
well, I think what it was that probably caught us both was I think the phrase you used was it's the first
Disney film
movie to use computer generated graphics, and I was like,
film.
It's like, what about Tron?
Yeah, I will correct myself.
Tron was 82.
Yes.
Great Mouse Detective was 84. I looked into it because I was curious.
Yes.
But I mean. So Shannon, I think I told you about the book that I had read that was about that, and I'll have to look it up again. It was called "The Future Was Now." I can't think of the author, but the 1980s, the sci-fi movies of the 80s is what he was writing about, specifically right around that time. And Tron was one of those that got called up in that time frame. Tron was a huge gamble for Disney that didn't really pay off in the way they wanted it to. It was good, but it was whatever. But then from that point, they did so much shit with what came out of Tron.
Yeah.
It took forever to make a sequel to it, and people still liked it, and there was a ton of interest in it. But it was more, the movie was more proof of concept than anything. Right. What can we take from that to use for other things?
It's that Simpsons joke where he goes, has anybody seen the movie Tron? And they all go, no. No. I think I have to point out the obvious. Zach is sitting in the open recording room. I think he desperately wants us to pull him in here, but he doesn't want to say it.
I don't know why we didn't just have him on in the first place.
I'm just gonna pull him in real quick. So
okay,
go ahead and pull up.
So
drag him in here.
Joining the show live unexpectedly because he was in a room and I saw him. Also from 1992, it's Zach Kurgis.
Yes.
This will bump the numbers up for Aladdin too after I get done with it. So
Great.
yeah.
Indeed.
Now, Hunter, you said.
But anyways, the facts. Can I go back to what I was actually looking up?
No,
Or
go for it.
you
You're
still
the
have a train.
Yeah, no, you're the host. Go.
So before I had an ass.
You hear the bottle popping. Yeah, sure, go for it. Oh,
Bop.
Anyways, before when I had said they wouldn't have made the film without Robin Williams, it was pretty much the fact because they wanted the genie to be a shapeshifter. They needed someone that kind of had his energy. And Eric Goldberg was the supervising animator at the time and was responsible for doing most of Genie's creation. He took one of Robin Williams' stand-up acts and animated to it to convince the rest of the team, this is who we need. And then they took that to Robin Williams to try and convince him, hey, we need you to be this character.
And they were right. And then, well, I mean, until part 2 when it was not Robin Williams.
Well, that's because they didn't follow up with their contract agreements is why that happened.
We have to
that one to themselves.
Save that trivia. I need to make a correction because someone on the show, I don't remember who it was. It might have been Jesse. I believe he said on one of the shows that Hank Azaria did the voice of the genie in part 2. That is incorrect. It's Dan Castellaneta. That's still a Simpsons guy, but it's not Azaria.
Well, so first, I think that was me. That might have been me and not him. And I think we talked about that at the time. Because I think I said, I think it's Hank Azaria, but I know it's someone from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And it ended up being Castellaneta instead.
It didn't really strike me until we were watching it today. And I asked, because I almost put on King of Thieves as a joke, hoping Lindsay wasn't paying attention. But
I'd watch it. Aladdin and the King of Thieves is awesome.
King of Thieves is good. It's The Return of Jafar that stuck.
Yeah, and I didn't know that Robin Williams had come back for part 3. I thought he had come back for part 2. So, no, that's when I figured out. No, it was Dan Castellaneta. Zach, real quick, since we pulled you in here, what's your favorite part of Aladdin? You seem to love this movie quite a bit.
Give me a second.
Clock's
Put
ticking.
me on the spot.
All right, I'll come back to you.
Give me a second. You just do your thing.
I'll come back to you here in a second. Hunter, you also said this was your favorite Disney movie.
Yeah, 100%.
Not to spoil
and that
anything.
was both growing. Yeah, I was going to say, it's going to, I think we've kind of lost the plot on that already. Both growing up and at this point, where a lot of my friends jumped over to The Lion King when it came out. I always kind of held a candle for Aladdin. I will say up front that I'm reasonably sure, as I got to thinking about it while I was watching this today, I'm reasonably sure I've seen this movie more than I've seen any other movie.
Wow.
Yeah, like the number of times, obviously, that I've watched Ghostbusters and Star Wars and Back to the Future and Jurassic Park and then all the stuff that, I've told this story before about my dad when he cut the cable, and so we had these VHSs, and I watched Tombstone and Raising Arizona and Stripes on replay before all of that, and then during all of that, and then after all of that, I was still watching Aladdin. Aladdin was the one, I had others. I know for a fact I had Bambi. I don't know why. I didn't care for it. Not give too much away there, but I had Aladdin. I had the big clamshell, VHS thing, the traditional one, and I mean, God, I must have watched this movie every day for the longest time, to the point that today, and granted, it's a kids movie, it's 90 minutes, it's not that long, it's not that involved. But to the point that today I felt myself capable of not just knowing all the lyrics of the song still, but knowing the dialogue, knowing what words to expect and who was going to say what coming up, and it's just ingrained in my brain.
No,
I need to give everyone a look into my life and what it's like to watch an animated film with Lindsay Wolfgong. Because we're watching the movie, and within the first 30 minutes, she's like, "Yeah, okay, so this is the part I think they switched the animator from this to that. And this is when." And I want to look over it, and it's like, I don't know any of the fucking people you're talking about. You're just dropping names at this point, and I don't know who you mean.
I don't know who this is.
I don't know that person.
It's because I have a problem with trivia and Disney. I have a very love-hate relationship with them.
I get that way about wrestling nowadays, I've noticed. I tell people, all right, watch this. Here comes this spot. That was stupid, wasn't it? Did you see the way his arm... Dalton did that to me. Because once Dalton started picking apart matches in front of me, I couldn't help it either. Zach, back to you. What's your favorite part of Aladdin?
I think I've come to the decision that when Abu grabs the jewel that he's not supposed to grab,
When he's being a dumbass.
I hate that.
yeah, but
monkey.
he's doing what he knows what to do. He's about to get them the most bread they've ever had. You know, like who knows where he can sell that?
That's a fun fact. That's where the term "let's get this bread" comes from. That's not true.
I believe it.
I think
that's just me. You just believe it because I have this authoritative voice.
This is also the film that coined the phrase "Show me the monkey." I hate Abu. I thought I was gonna hate Genie because again, Robin Williams was never my thing. But actually, I did.
Frank Welker do Abu?
I don't know.
I mean, whoever it was, piss on him and throw him out the window. No, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. I didn't like Abu. Everything he did was incredibly selfish to the point that I looked at Aladdin and was like, why are you hanging out with this monkey? He screws up literally everything you do.
Monkey.
Yes,
Get a
it
real
was Frank
friend.
Welker.
He has to have. Okay, so it's funny you mentioned that in the stage show, Abu doesn't exist.
Yeah,
I think
not
maybe
at all.
one of the guys is named Abu, or there's like a reference to it, but there's no monkey at all. He has 3 friends who are these like this little group of grifters, and they run these little schemes together.
They did the same thing with the Sailor Moon musicals. Luna and Artemis, I know you don't know much about Sailor Moon, but they're the 2 cats, and they're also like Luna is like the most important lore character in the entire story, and they just completely cut them out of the movie. Don't even mention them out of the plays because it's so hard to do a cat.
And the times they have done it, it's painful.
It was bad. I can see why they left it out. All right, let's get to the reviews here on Podzilla 1985. There's a couple other trivias there real quick I want to mention because I thought this was interesting. Now, the script was rejected for Best Adapted Screenplay at the Academy Awards because Robin Williams ad-libbed so much.
Yeah, they couldn't even get a nomination for it. So it would have been adapted anyway, because again, it comes from the classic fable. But they couldn't even get a nom for it because Robin Williams, so much of what he said is not in the actual script. They're like, we can't nominate a script that isn't what made it to the script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
I mean, I'm pretty sure Gilbert Gottfried did a lot of improv on his own too.
I know specifically that line that where he's holding up the picture and he goes, "Am I making a weird face?"
I'm making a weird face.
That was one where they, if I remember correctly, they either had to do it numerous times or that whole like Jafar laughing after that was legitimately, and I can't think of his name, the guy who voiced Jafar. Just he couldn't hold it. He couldn't hold it together. They're like,
so this is animated and put it in the film.
Just take it and run with it. Just go with it, man.
And didn't Iago?
Oh, he's gone nuts.
Didn't Iago become a good guy eventually, or was that just the TV show?
In the Return of Jafar, he becomes a good guy, and then he tags along with him in the TV series.
Good guy is a strong term.
He's still Iago.
He becomes the Abu type character.
Yeah.
So he's the one who still wants to. Everything he does, he wants it to be for like the sake of money.
Where's my payout?
Exactly. Yeah. Where Abu becomes kind of toothless, he becomes the but when do we get paid type. He's Rocket Raccoon. He's the Rocket
toothless.
Raccoon of the Aladdin group.
Don't trust that monkey. That monkey's gonna bite you at some point.
Does.
And he's got fleas. Zach, you'll be
Aladdin.
You'll be happy to know
that's
that
why you
they're
keep the monkey so that they stay on the monkey, not you.
Oh, they'll switch sides like a Republican. Zach, you'll be happy to know that they are making a new Aladdin film. I put it in the chat today. It's a horror film in the same vein as Winnie the Pooh, and it's the monkey's paw.
It's just the monkey's
It's
paw.
not
I
Aladdin.
mean, if you just want to watch the horror version of it, just watch Tim Burton's take from Fairy Tale Theater, where James Earl Jones is the genie and Leonard Nimoy is basically Jafar.
I would watch that. That sounds amazing.
That sounds amazing. What the hell?
Why have we not watched this yet? All right, let's get to the reviews. As you know, here on the show, Extras and Epilogues, we use a 5-point system inspired by the great Siskel and Ebert. 2 thumbs up means you... I'm sorry for this. What'd you say, Zach? 2 lamps?
Yeah, it was lamps.
Okay, 2 lamps up. Get your lamps up means you love it. 1 lamp up means you like it. 1 up, 1 down, you're neutral, indifferent. 1 down, you don't like it. 2 down, you hate it. Famously, very few films have hit the 2 down mark. Most recently, I believe, was Mario Brothers. I can't remember because I spared Borderlands. I threw it a bone, basically.
That's why.
Most recently, Who Framed Roger Rabbit hit our 2 thumbs up. And that followed think the last one before that was probably Moulin Rouge, right? If I remember correctly.
Across the board, up.
Yeah,
Moulin Rouge was definitely an all up.
I think that was
Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Because I think about Roger Rabbit, and then Moulin Rouge was the most recent one.
Yeah, it would have to be because it was the only one in that month that I would have given that to. Casino Royale didn't get to up across the board, did it?
I think it did. I think it did.
So that was that might be the only time we did it two back to back.
Yeah,
because Casino Royale and Moulin Rouge were back to back, and if it was two up across the board, then yeah.
Yeah. Let's get to this one. Let's see how it goes. Let's start with Zach. Start thinking, because I'm going to send it to you here in a second. But we're going to start with Lindsay. Lindsay, go ahead.
Oh, you're actually going to start with me?
Every fucking time I start with you. How is it even a surprise at this point? Oh my God. Hold on. Hold on.
It's just to irritate you. I'm sorry. No, it's 2 thumbs up for me. I was completely psyched about this film when it came out. I remember seeing the preview trailers on my Beauty and the Beast VHS, and then this was one of the they had done the making of specials for Beauty and the Beast was the first one that they went like really crazy with. So as soon as it was coming out, I knew I was going to have another TV special to watch that was going to get me hyped up for the film before it even came out. This was the first soundtrack Mom actually let me like buy without me having to like beg and plead. She just gave in and let me get it. I love this whole film. I was already a fan of Robin Williams as a kid because Mom would watch Mork and Mindy, and so I'd have that on. But yeah, it stands the test of time. I still love this film. It's very difficult for me to watch now. Shannon can attest to me just starting to cry at the end of the film.
Yeah, I made a joke.
But a big part of that is Robin Williams passing, and the part that gets me is when the genie says he's free. Like, it's still very, very hard for me to watch and even clearly talk about because I'm starting to tear up again.
Yeah, it's. I think a lot of people shared that picture of the two of them hugging when Robin Williams passed, and it's him saying he's going to miss him. That gets to me because it feels like he's not talking to because the genie is so intrinsically tied to Robin Williams. It doesn't feel like he's talking to a character. It feels like he's talking to the person.
Yeah,
and of course it couldn't be because that was long before that was the case, but still.
I told Lindsay I was going to make fun of it.
This isn't my first time watching it since that incident. A few years back, did I did a watch through of Disney films chronologically. So I'm not going to lie, I kind of dreaded when I got to Aladdin because I hadn't watched it in so long. Yeah. But I still enjoy it 100%. It's such a good movie.
So it's not the exact same thing, but I don't think I have another movie, any movie that I experienced that same emotion with, except for Ghostbusters Afterlife. Knowing that, they're going to have the ghost Egon at the end. I dread it as I know it's coming because I know it's going to be, Niagara Falls, Frankie Angel. It's going to hit me. So I feel you on that. And I hate Lindsay, first off. I think everyone knows that. Like, I'm not a fan of her. But there are times where... I forget how sweet she is and how good-hearted she is. And as I'm sitting there in the chair as the movie's ending, and I'm like, I think I'm going to tear this apart tonight on the show just to mess with Hunter. And I look over at her, tears are streaming down her face. I held her hand. I'm like, never mind. I'm not going to tear it apart. I'm kidding.
I was still in my moment. That's all.
She was. Yeah, I get it. Let's go to Zach, though, who doesn't have moments. That's why we bring him on the show.
Occasionally. No, it's two lamps up for me.
There you go.
This used to be my favorite Disney movie until Tarzan came out. Because Tarzan I got to actually experience in the movies, and I was just like, yeah, I love this. But yeah, no, everything about it, I grew up watching it. It came out the same year, so I didn't get to go see it in theaters or anything like that, but we had it on VHS. And when Jafar becomes a genie, that was my first true scare as a child, apparently. My mom said I did not like him. And it makes sense. He's very, he looked different than Genie.
He's very threatening. Yeah.
Yeah. And apparently I did not like The Return of Jafar.
It was not good.
I remember
you were a smart child.
I think it was mainly probably just the genie. I probably would have loved it other than that. But Jafar as the genie, again, was just
Yeah, he played a big role in that one. And if you were already terrified of him as a kid, I can see that.
And then he was just even more mean in that.
Yes.
He should be.
But Oh yeah, I guess so. But I remember the TV show. I used to watch that and like
Same.
the Little Mermaid show
Yeah.
before I went to school. But yeah, no, growing up, my cousin would watch The Little Mermaid, and I would torture her with Aladdin. So it's definitely 2 lanes up for me.
It's not a torture film. It's just good.
Boy, I used to love those TV shows they based on the films. I watched them all the time.
Yes.
This, I watched a lot of Aladdin, but the one I watched the most of, surprisingly,
Hercules.
I watched Hercules all the time.
Hercules going to school. Who would have thought?
Dude,
that would have been entertaining.
Icarus and Cassandra were awesome.
Icarus was played, you might not remember, Icarus was played
by French Stewart.
French Stewart, that's right. Yep. And then
well, in Double
Sandra,
Jeopardy, he's going to bloom.
well, he wagered Texas with a $sign. What do you want from him? Okay. All right, my turn.
His name is French.
Yeah, who gives a damn? All right, my turn. Captain Bringdown, here we go. I'm gonna be honest straight up. I know I said it earlier. I wasn't gonna talk about the live action, and I'm not. But it is impossible for me to separate the two, considering I put more time into the live action than the animated. Everyone has these wonderful memories of the animated movie, and I don't. I have wonderful memories of the live action movie, so I'm kind of in the reverse role here. I don't want to compare the two, but it is difficult to separate them because they are, the live action is almost a shot for shot remake of the animated one. They just added
extra scenes.
With extra scenes. One of which being, Hunter, you put in the trivia, I'll say this real quick. The scene revealing the truth was cut, but the peddler from the beginning of the film, the genie, are one and the same. Robin Williams voices both. They have similar facial appearances, and the directors confirmed that it was intentional. And they expanded upon that in the live action because they start with human Will Smith as, the former genie telling the story of it. So with that said, I'll also say this. This is my favorite Disney film. Animated. 100%. No fucking lies. Not only do I love the live action one, but I also really like the animated one. So this isn't a case of where I'm going to say one's inferior to the other. I think they're both good. But it also turns out that I don't think I like Disney films. Every time,
doesn't surprise me.
Every time we watch a Disney movie, it just does not have the magic for me that it has for other people. I don't think they're bad films. Sometimes they're very simple and basic and formulaic. That's not always a bad thing. I didn't realize until we watched a Miss Mojo thing last night that 80% of Disney villains die from falling?
Yes.
I didn't know that. that. So as I watched this film today, I thought to myself, I really like the music. I like the characters, but I don't know if I love the movie as a whole. At the end, I'm going to settle on 1 thumb up. Not to break the streak, because I think it is a good film, but I don't know. It just didn't click with me in the same way that it clicks with other people. And I think if I hadn't put and again, I'm sorry, if I hadn't put so much time into the live action one, I think I would have liked this more. But the live action one expands on so many things that this movie touches on, like Jafar's motivations, of Jasmine's character. So it felt like going back and watching a prototype version of that, which it kind of is. So I'm the worst person to review this film. But with that said, is this a good movie? It absolutely is a good movie. If I were to tell anyone to watch a Disney movie, it's either this or Robin Hood. It's one of the two. Yes. They're both great.
If you're introducing a kid to their first Disney movie,
it's Aladdin.
This is definitely a good choice.
Yeah, because this movie has it all. It has romance. It has excitement. The scene in the Cave of Wonders is fantastic. Robin Williams, even though, like I said, I'm not his target audience with his humor, is so iconic as the genie that I liked Will Smith in the role, but he's no Robin Williams. Sir, I've met Robin Williams, and you are no Robin Williams. I thought he did a good job, but Robin Williams does make this film. And that's not to say everybody else did a bad job. Again, Gilbert Gottfried as Iago is between both films, is my favorite thing. I can't help but laugh every time he says something. I don't care what it is. Even when he's parroting what they say and they shove the cracker in his mouth, I start cracking up. Because that's the man has a direct line to my funny bone. So it is a good movie. It is a really good movie. But to me, it just could not reach the level of 2 thumbs up. But it is 1 thumb up with a major recommendation. Hunter.
Well, you did in fact break the streak, and there's no surprise there. This is easily to me the best Disney animated film, and taking my own personal opinion out of it to the best of my ability. Look, I say that a lot. There's only so much one can do when something is so intrinsically tied to your childhood, your human. To the way that you grew up with these movies. This is not a movie that I watch as often as I used to anymore. It's probably been a year or two since I've seen it. But there was, I'm not gonna lie to you, there was a part of me that was like, I don't have to rewatch that. I know what happens in that movie. Of course I know what happens in that movie. But to date, I have not watched the film when we've done it for the show here. This is the 100th episode. I gotta fucking do it. And it wasn't that I didn't want to. I just had a lot of stuff going on. I didn't know if I had the time. This afternoon, I said, I owe it to myself, because I've done it this many times, to do that anyway. And again, every time I do that for this show, I see things I haven't seen before. If it's a movie that I have seen, I notice things I haven't before. This is so ridiculous. I'm watching the movie. Sarah's kind of in and out of the room. A Whole New World ends, and I went, they literally went around the world. And she goes, what? And I was like, how many times have I watched the sequence? And the song is called A Whole New World, and it never, ever dawned on me that they go to Egypt, they go to Greece, and China. They end in China.
Yeah.
Never. Don't know why that never occurred to me. I think this movie does everything that a good classic animated Disney movie is trying to do without having to be the boy movie. Because I know there was a part of them that was trying to make that happen. The rewrite was desperately trying to appeal. Films. Right. Let's appeal to an audience that we haven't really appealed to as of yet. This movie does exactly what I want children's entertainment to do, and that we used this phrase earlier. It does not pander. It has really strong themes about identity, about who we are, who we want to be, about the way we see ourselves in the world, about what we can do about that. It's extremely clever from not just a writing standpoint, but the characters do things that are clever. Aladdin's been about getting out of the cave without actually making a wish. When I was a kid, blew my fucking mind. For the number of times that I've talked about things from like movies and pop culture, Dave Letterman helping to shape my sense of humor or whatever, I think that little moment shaped my entire personality. Because that's who I feel like I am half the time. I'm looking for a way. Yeah, I'm looking for a way to get something to work the way I want it to without having to go about it the traditional way.
That's the Han Solo.
It's phenomenal. Yes, again, that's the young Han Solo influence.
Hunter is of the group. Hunter is definitely, I'll say it now, the puckish rogue, as Saints Row would say.
Well, part of that too is that I've just been playing D&D for 25 years, and eventually you got to find a way to work around whoever's in charge. You guys will get there.
Not the way we're going.
Listen to PC85 Plays every Tuesday.
And listen to Hunter get frustrated beyond belief.
With Kaz.
It's such a smart movie. And again, strong theming from a story standpoint. It doesn't dumb down for even the language isn't dumbed down for a kid. I remember hearing words in this movie and going, what the hell does that mean? And looking them up. Like when Jafar says he's ecstatic, I'm like, okay. Well, I don't remember even saying that. I was watching that today and I was like, oh, you wouldn't get that today. And Sarah goes, it's the same God. I'm like, I know.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling Shannon even, I didn't realize how many times they say Allah in it when I was little.
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Lindsay, can you
anyway?
Can you draw Allah for us real quick?
No.
What about the Prophet Muhammad?
What about Muhammad?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just a quick quick gesture.
Just say no to that one. Okay.
No.
Look, you've done it a million times, so I get to do it now. I've only seen the live action movie one time. All right. And I can't be exceptionally critical of it because I've only seen it one time. Not to mention, I know it's coming from a biased perspective because I love this movie, and there's always gonna be some comparison. Yep. What I remember about it was thinking, well, put simply, it wasn't as good. Part of it being that Will Smith was in an impossible situation that I can't imagine was no one should have ever taken that on, frankly, in my opinion, because one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to have to try to be Robin Williams, and no one's ever going to be satisfied with that because no one Robin Williams is or will be Robin Williams.
And he didn't.
Or you're going to... He didn't, but then the problem was he was so much himself that everyone went, well, we liked it when Robin Williams was himself. We don't really want just Will Smith as the genie. It's not really working for most people.
I think the strongest bit of the live action was Jasmine, to be fair. Like, that's the strongest bit for me.
I don't disagree, but I think the weakest part, and I think this is where it hurt me, was Jafar. I don't care for Jafar in the live action version. I think he is not menacing at all. And Jafar, as Zach said earlier, Jafar as villain in this movie is menacing as hell. Yeah, he's terrifying.
Let me speak on that real quick, because I agree. I actually agree with you. Jafar in the Aladdin cartoon is and I don't mean this in a bad way. This is not me insulting it, I promise. I'm just making a point. It is the stereotypical Disney power hungry villain, and he's power hungry for the sake of being power hungry. And that makes him scary, and he looks scary, and he speaks scary. The Jafar in the Aladdin, he's smart and clever. The Jafar in the live action film, I feel like they tried to make him too realistic. And in one way, it was good because he had motivation for what he was doing beyond "I just want power," because he thought he was what was best for his people, misguided. But that also took away from his fearsomeness, like. He's not scary. He was never threatening. He was too realistic in a fantastic world, is the way I'll say it.
He was just an evil politician rather than a sorcerer.
Yeah, and Lord knows they don't have enough representation. I've been saying for a while.
Time will be kind to him, because you remember the Trade Federation and the Star Wars prequels. Everybody was like, "This is so stupid." It took 20 years to get him a little bit of respect.
They still go. It's still stupid, but the movies are not as bad as we thought they were.
Right.
The Trade Federation still not looked upon well.
The live action version just goes on the fan theory that Jafar is the hero, not Aladdin.
Well, so the villains.
So all good villains see themselves that way.
Exactly.
That's how it has to work. Not all good villains. I shouldn't say that. The best villains believe they are the heroes of their own story. That's what I'm trying to say.
Which the Jafar in the live action movie did, and the Jafar in the animated one didn't. But again, that comes at the cost of him being fearsome and villainous.
Well, okay, we're on a big tangent in the middle of my review, but let's do it. Just because the animated Jafar never says what his plan is, doesn't mean he doesn't think he's best for it. I mean, we see him interact with the Sultan numerous times. The Sultan is, for the record, kind of a little buffoon.
He's an idiot. Yeah.
It's definitely implied, or there's definitely a good inference to be made there that he believes he's better for Agrabah than the Sultan is. Now, what that looks like, we don't know. He doesn't really get into it. He doesn't have his whole, Dr. Lovelace, the united, divided plan or anything, but but he does very much make it clear that he thinks he should be in charge. So anyway,
to be fair, comparing Jafar to the Sultan, maybe he was right.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Idiot, man.
The Sultan just wants to play with his toys.
He just wants to play with his toys, man.
I forgot how
I gotta eat another stale cracker.
Eat all the crackers.
I'm gonna shove it down his throat.
I forgot how stupid the Sultan was in this movie till I rewatched it. Oh my god. All right, go on with the review. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Long story short, for me, for my money, this is as good as Renaissance Disney gets. Again, it's smart, it's clever, it's well animated. Even if you can kind of tell the difference, they're trying new things. It still looks really great. Robin Williams is definitive Disney voice work for me. What he does with that character, and by that character, I mean the 52 voices that he does over the course of this film. That's a real estimate, by the way. It's estimated he plays 52 different characters.
Pretty sure there's an extra 2 hours of cut improv.
Just what he did.
That does not surprise me at all. Yeah.
He is definitive. There's a reason that when we do picking Disney character stuff, the genie always comes to mind for me. I freaking loved this character as a kid, and I as much as I loved this movie as a whole, he's the glue, man. He ties the entire thing together. He makes the whole thing work. I will never not want to watch Robin Williams go to work as the genie. To the point that I was also very sad when Return of Jafar came out, and I watched it once and went, I don't want to play with you anymore. And dropped it to the side. It's Jason Alexander's in it. He's pretty good, I guess, in it. Anyway, no,
I've never seen it. I've never seen the sequels at all.
It's not very good. The Return of Jafar is not very good.
Songs are
King of Thieves
bad.
is pretty good.
King of Thieves is great. The TV show is great.
This movie for me is where the buck stops. If you told me I had to watch one Disney movie, it's this one. If you told me I had to watch one movie or Disney movie 100 times, it's this one.
No,
it's still a strong recommendation. I still think it's the kind of, here's probably the strongest recommendation of the best way I can sum up my review for it. I have a 5-year-old niece. She inevitably is going to start wanting to come and hang out with us. And the first time it happens, and she's like, "What are we watching?" I'm gonna go, "It's this. We're watching this."
Yes.
And probably what's gonna happen is she's gonna go, "I've already seen this," and I'm gonna go, "You haven't. Shut up.
Yeah.
This is your first time. We're watching it for the first time, and you're gonna pretend like it's your 1st
You're
time."
in my
it's
world
not.
now. Yeah.
That's right.
Give me this one thing.
Also,
Yes,
I
please.
wanna, this is my favorite traditional animation Disney film, but I think, and I probably have to rewatch it, but if I were to say my just like of all the versions of the Disney animation that they do, I'm not going to count the live action because I've only seen Aladdin, and I've heard Beauty and the Beast is actually really good. I've never watched it. I've heard Cinderella's really good. I've never watched it. I will not watch The Lion King.
The live action movies, or
yeah. I've heard Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast.
Jungle Book is like the only one I hear is worth your time, frankly.
It's okay, but some of the voice actors phone it in.
Yeah.
Well, it's Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau
It
directed
cool,
Jungle Book.
but
So
again, I won't lie and say, oh well, I loved Aladdin live action, so maybe I'll like more of the other live action ones, but not the Lion King, because to call that live action is kind of an insult because it's just animated in a different way. That's not live action.
Well,
Sorry.
well, to be fair, it also has Billy Eichner, Seth Rogen,
stay away
John
from
Oliver.
Stay away from it. But if you're counting like the computer animation and stuff, I think this is going to sound crazy. I think my favorite Disney film would probably be Tangled.
It's so good.
I genuinely love Tangled.
I'm sorry. Camp Tangle is better than Frozen, and I will stay on that boat.
Well, I'll give you that one for sure. Yeah. I've only seen it the once. I remember liking it, but I don't know off the top of my head. I know what I did like about it is that Tangled feels like a D&D game with a Rapunzel character shoehorned in, which I think is kind of fun.
Well,
Flynn Rider's just a D&D character. He's everybody's first D&D character.
Flynn Rider's awome. I base so many characters off of him and his name.
Zachary Levi.
The character, not the actor. The character's good. But there's very few Disney moments that like really break me down emotionally. But the end of it with the floating lanterns and stuff, I will get choked up talking about it. That part always gets me.
Yeah.
That part gets me every time. All right. Well, fuck feelings. And let's get to the epilogue.
That's what Disney movies are about, Shannon.
I'm sure the whiskey has nothing to do with it.
I've only had like 5 drinks. It's just and hitting hard for some reason. It takes a half a bottle to get me feeling anything. Here's the ending.
You gotta stop saying these things on recorded interviews.
Aladdin taunts Jafar.
That's what we call Exhibit C.
Aladdin taunts Jafar, threatens to put him in an El Salvador prison for being less powerful than the genie, tricking him into using his last wish to become a genie himself.
Lash whisk.
God.
His lash whisk.
This causes Jafar to become trapped in his new lamp, taking Iago with him. The genie throws, and that's another thing, by the way, with the live action one that I didn't like, for the record. Alan Tudyk did the voice of Iago, and he was fine, but he wasn't Iago. He just was a parrot.
He was just a parrot.
Look, man,
you're making my case for me, man.
No. I still love the movie, but like, do you think it's one of those things where, because I believe that also came out after Gilbert Gottfried died, where they just didn't want to attempt to match Gilbert Gottfried? They were just like, no, don't even do it.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I'll tell you something I completely forgot to mention while you're in the midst of this. Another thing I noticed today that I don't know that I've ever noticed before, Iago. Part of the plot of them getting the lamp hinges on him pretending to be Jasmine when he's pretending to be a flamingo.
Yeah,
and he does the voice. He does the thing. I remember even as a kid being like, well, that's kind of out of nowhere. No, it's not. He does it earlier. He does it earlier in the movie. He mimics Jasmine, and they also have him mimic, Jafar in that process. He's good at doing those.
He's
things.
a parrot.
So he's not just, kind of.
He's a super parrot.
Yeah. But what I like is that he'd already done Jasmine's voice before that when he does he mimics her saying that, when I'm, in charge, I'll be the one to get rid of you. So he'd already been able to do that. So he knew he could do it before he went to have to do it as part of the plan. It's just a good little nod. It's a fun little nod.
One of the things I didn't notice really until I watched this movie today was how much I fucking hated Abu. Little shit monkey.
He was cursing Abu the whole film.
He was an elephant for half the movie, man.
Yeah, he was.
That's how you had to take him out of commission.
The genie and Lindsay also, for the record, before we started watching it, Lindsay said, I wonder if this will be the original lyrics or the remade one. I was like, it's the remade one. They're not going to put those original lyrics on Disney. I can't
remember which it was, because my soundtrack, the cassette tape I have has the original where they cut off your ear if they don't like your face.
Yes, and that's what they've
the
cut out.
Anti-Arab Commission did not care for that shit
yes.
at all.
Did not.
That, and then there was another in the Prince Ali song where they changed that he had slaves to he had people that worked for him. Okay. Anyway, Genie throws Jafar's lamp to the Cave of Wonders. The Genie encourages, which they also brought Jim Cummings back for the live action one to do the Cave of Wonders, which was cool. That was a cool little nod that they got the same guy to do it.
Frank Welker did the Cave of Wonders in the original.
Oh, do you want to Tron me? You Tronning me right now? The Genie
I literally just looked it up because I was seeing if he did Abu, and it listed him as the Cave of Wonders, Raja, Abu, and some other character.
Jam you up in the next week is what's going to happen.
Love Frank Welker. He was also don't say it. He was
Optimus Prime. Wasn't he?
Yeah. Was he? Or was he
he's an Optimus.
He was Scarmetal. What's his name? Scarmetal.
No, Peter
Scarmetal.
Peter Cullen is Optimus. He's Jafar. No, what's his name? Megatron. Megatron.
Jafar the Transformer.
Yeah.
The Genie encourages Aladdin to use his third wish.
Does he just transform into a camel? Like what?
Watch out, they spit.
I think he transforms into a giant red genie bot.
Giant red. Yeah, it feels like a name. I'm gonna workshop it.
Aladdin instead decides to keep his promise, wishing the genie free, which was a good move. Good move on Aladdin. The Sultan allows Jasmine to marry whoever she chooses. Wow, what a concept. And she gladly chooses Aladdin. The genie bids the group a fond farewell and leaves to explore the world while Aladdin and Jasmine start their new life together. And since I've never watched the sequels, I don't know how that goes. I assume it went well.
Basically, they don't get married until King of Thieves.
Yeah. Yep.
That's when his daddy comes back, right?
Yes.
Yeah, his real dad.
Yeah.
But the weird part is Genie has the bracelets the whole time, so I guess he just missed his bracelets.
Well, they're
he likes
accessory. He likes jewelry.
They are cool looking.
It always bothered me as a kid. I was like, why does she have the bracelets? That was your bonding.
For full disclosure, when I was a kid, I liked wearing a watch for the longest time, and then I got to where I couldn't, so I had to go without it. And then, like a couple of years ago, I started wearing a watch again, and now when I take it off, I'm like, well, now I'm just
you feel naked. Yeah,
like, I don't care for that shit at all.
That's how I'm with my necklace. When they told me to take my necklace off for the surgery, and I was like, do I have to? I feel naked without it. Anyway, all right.
Sir, please.
So, what happens after the movie ends? Where does this go from here? I'll leave it to you guys. Because I'm perfectly happy with the story ending, and Jasmine and Aladdin are happy together. Genie falls in love with Nasim Petrad in the live action film, and they have kids. Good for him, because that's a good choice. And Jafar is stuck at the in the Cave of Wonders. I know you guys have more of an attachment to it than I do, so to not eat up time, we'll go to that. Zach, I'll start with you. Do you have any what you would like to see in an Aladdin sequel?
I would just say that we skip the second movie and go straight to the third.
Okay.
Yes.
That's fair.
Because I remember...
Or we replace it with a Hercules crossover like they did in the animated series.
There you go.
I'll do a Power Rangers crossover.
And then we should also get a little bit of Scar then, we should see him be in a rug instead of just a mount on her.
Oh,
head.
so that's the tie through is that they have to go hunt down this terrible lion, and then Hercules takes the skin with him afterwards.
Boy, that's another thing Lindsay's ruined for me forever.
Great to work.
The Easter eggs.
No. We were talking about The Lion King, and I kind of knew it, but I just didn't think about it. But Jeremy Irons' song, he only did part of it, and his voice gave out. So they had Jim Cummings sing the rest of the song. And he does a fantastic job. But Lindsay said, once you know it, you could hear the Darkwing. And now I can only hear Darkwing Duck when I hear the song. And I'll never get away from it.
Basically, when it gets to that, like, crescendo, like, as soon as the energy of it pops, just, like, partway through, you just hear the word. It's like, yep, right there.
You go full Darkwing. Never go full Darkwing. Lindsay, what about you? Epilogues.
I mean, it's the same thing. Like, King of Thieves is a really good choice. The animated series covered a lot of good things. It helped give Jasmine her sense of adventure and more independence. And I don't know. I think they've covered most of it.
That's another thing that bothered me about the film. I didn't think about until just now I remembered. The fact that the actors are not the same as the singers. Once I heard Whole New World, I immediately looked at Lindsay and said, that's not the same actor, is it? That voice is different. And it bothered me.
Scott Winger does not sing.
No.
He's not a singer. Now, Robin Williams, I'm reasonably sure, sang all
yes,
of
his.
He did his.
Yeah.
He's the only one, right? Him and probably Jafar with the Prince Ali.
I'm pretty sure Jafar did his.
Yeah, because Linda Larkin is not the singer for Jasmine.
No, because the singer for Jasmine later went on to do the singing voice for Mulan also.
And if there's one last thing I'll leave you with from the live action, Naomi Harris as Jasmine, she
Such a good song.
She sang her own stuff. She just
We're not going to talk about it.
Dude, all I'm saying is she deserves a lot. Like, I hope she has a good career. She just did Smile 2, which was very popular, but she is a real talent, and I really hope she gets better roles. I would love to see her in more stuff. She was also in the Power Rangers movie as the Pink Ranger. She did an okay job there, but she was great as Jasmine, and that's all I'll say about that. No more about the live action. All right, Hunter.
Shit, you know who was in the third movie is CCH Pounder was in Aladdin and the King of Thieves.
I love them. That's a good one.
Yeah. Also, Jason Alexander's character in the second movie in Return of Jafar's name is Abis Mal, which I did not get as a kid. Was just abysmal. His name is Abysmal because he sucks at everything that he does.
Hunter, I would also like to bring up the fact that Jerry Orbach was in Aladdin King of Thieves as Salute.
True. That's true.
And that's always good. You can't beat that.
I feel like definitely, don't get me wrong, the movies, the continued movies, skipping what sucks about Return of Jafar, and then the TV series, which I'm sure was not as good as I remember. Like, looking at it now is probably it's a 90s animated kids TV show. It's as good as that's going to get. So really, maybe we do like a legitimate, like what happened? Because we were talking about the Evil Dead thing in the very first episode of this. This is the 100th episode. The premise at the time was not write a sequel. It was what happens to the characters when this is all said and done. Right. So realistically, Aladdin still has to become Sultan, right? Which he freaked out about in this movie. But eventually, he's gonna be the fucking Sultan. So that's something to consider. He's going to need a vizier. In other words, he needs somebody else in charge. Or more realistically, what if this is where we get the turning point and this place catapults into the 21st century real quick? Why the fuck does Aladdin have to be Sultan when he doesn't know shit about how to run a country? But Jasmine grew up in that place. Just make her the Sultaness or whatever, or just Sultan. It's not a gendered term. It's like actor and actress. It's not necessary. Just let her run the fucking place.
That sounds a lot like another movie that I'm thinking of.
What's that?
The live action one. That's one of the good things from that film. That she very much was like, I know what to do for our people. Let me be in charge. And they were like, yeah, you're right. Just so that was again, not talking about it.
Well, I'm done
so
now.
sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm done. Pull the plug.
Feel like I need to watch King of Thieves now. I've been actually looking at it while you guys have been talking.
Yeah, you should. You should. Actually.
That's a good cast, man.
It has a good soundtrack too.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
I'm also looking at like photos, and Aladdin's dad looks like Doctor Strange.
Yes, he does.
So Aladdin's dad, by the way, was played by John Rhys Davies, who also did what was he in Lord of the Rings? Gimli? Was that it?
Oh God, John Rhys Davies is he's Gimli in Lord of the Rings.
Sliders.
He's in the Indiana Jones films.
Indiana Jones. Yep.
Yeah, I mean he's all over those. He's Salah.
Just a damn good actor.
Other things.
And other things. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I legitimately the real follow up to this, without trying to write a story around it, is eventually one of the two of them, if not the two of them together, have to lead this country as they stay together. They, I think they do get the happy ending in that sense, right? They're going to stay together.
They
it
should.
seems like they've got what they want.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that he's again the first person that she met outside of the palace and went, him. I want that one.
Look, he lucked out big time on that one.
And if Genie can do as much as he can continue to do, like in the series and stuff, it'd be really great if he'd stick around, because okay, all right, fuck it, I am writing a sequel.
There we go.
Agrabah, here it is. You know when the fucking hand comes up that I've settled into it. So here's what happens. Genie does this thing. He goes around the world. So do Aladdin and Jasmine, which is a big part of the end of Return of Jafar. We go through all the same shit that happens in King of Thieves, and they get married. And from there, whatever happens is just the TV series. I want to split away from the TV series for a second, because I don't remember really shit about it, frankly. If Genie can still do all the same shit that he could or most of the same shit he could do when he was a genie, which, by the way, it's weird they keep calling him Genie. Call him like Brian.
What's his name?
Give him a fucking name.
Gene.
Yeah.
Call him Gene.
Call him Gene. Then if he comes back to live with his friends and to now that he's been around the world, seen what he wanted to see, and to help them out, Agrabah becomes the Disney animated universe version of Wakanda, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
get
just super successful.
Way too fast. Well, not too fast, but way faster than most of the rest of the world. I know at one point in time there was like this kind of dumb theory. I didn't put it in the trivia that this movie takes place like thousands of years in the future, and that's why Genie was
because of
able
all
to
the
make all
references.
references. Oh, because they're from the past. And I'm like, you think he can't fucking time travel? He literally has cosmic power, right? Yeah. But anyway. Yeah, so they become this really sort of technologically advanced Middle Eastern version of animated Disney universe Wakanda, rather than being set in Africa. Now, how that plays into any of the rest of these movies as time goes on, I don't know. I assume that Aladdin and Jasmine's kid is a superhero who rules the country from there in some form.
I think his name is Tingus.
Tingus.
It's Tingus.
Oh my
Not
God!
Car-Lord?
I need you to watch these fucking clips of
I need to watch that show in general.
Oh
Yeah.
boy! Anyway, that's all. I got.
Hey,
It's something, right? It's something to work with.
I've got two more thoughts about Jasmine before we get out of here. One, I mistakenly said Naomi Harris earlier. Blame the alcohol. It's Naomi Scott. Naomi Harris is an actress, and she's also good. But it's Naomi Scott I was thinking of, and she's fantastic as Jasmine. Two, a lot of people like to say that that Ariel was the first. If you're a kid, that was your first Disney animated girl crush. It was Jasmine for me growing up.
Yeah.
Jasmine was
As well it should have been.
Yes, Jasmine was everything you wanted. She was beautiful. She was smart. She was funny. She had that whole midriff thing going, and she didn't wear fucking clamshells as a bikini.
Look, I'm not going to get in the fucking weeds about it, but no person who grew up at that time frame can tell me that the whole sequence of her in the red when the Jafar is doing the thing didn't
that started something.
It's the bit from Community of the Dean going, this better not awaken anything in me.
Yeah. No, when I watched it today and it was the red, I don't remember that originally. That was something I didn't remember, and I was like, oh, okay. All right. I mean, the fact that when she starts playing along with it and they show Genie and Jafar, and Genie's fucking mouth is down to the floor.
Well, okay. I know what you're saying. To be fair, the in-universe explanation was he thought he cast a spell that he couldn't cast. He thought he did some magic he wasn't capable of doing.
Oh, to make her fall in love. Right.
Right, because Jafar wished for that to be the case, and he was telling him, I can't do that, and then seemingly it happened, and he was like, shit, never mind, carry on. Apparently I'm
super
better
genie.
than I thought I was.
I'm super genie.
Yeah.
So-
Now, that's the in-universe of, reality of it. The implication is very much what you're suggesting.
Yes, that she was just drawn. And I think Jasmine remains probably, oh God, this is a weird thing to say, the hottest Disney princess. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about it.
Is this how you want to end the 100th
No,
episode?
I'd like to talk more about Naomi Scott as Princess Jasmine. Now, she was beautiful and not weird in like a cartoon way or anything. Like,
And it's not weird at all. You're not in trouble or anything.
you know, when
Look, most people have had cartoon crushes.
all this time later and certain areas of that, you know, part of the country are starting to get to the point where they'll allow women to walk out in the streets without a man escorting them. So congrats to them. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight here on Extras and Epilogues. We'll be back next week with our next animated film, which I don't remember what it is. What is it?
The Road to El Dorado.
Ah,
Gave me loaded dice.
Yeah, I have not seen this.
I've never seen this either.
I have no idea what I'm getting into here.
I
So,
love this movie.
Zach, you a
I have
fan?
not seen this.
I love that movie. It's probably like the best DreamWorks in my
Yes,
mind.
thank you.
Well, you and Lindsay are on the same page, yeah. Okay, well, that is next week on Extras and Epilogues, but that's not it for this week. We got one more show.
Yeah, well, we had a great episode of PC85 Plays the Horror at Headstone Hill, our Deadlands game, earlier on this week, so go back and check that out. And then, yeah, AD is coming up for the listener tomorrow night. It's coming up in a couple of nights for us. Lindsay, that topic for this week is Aladdin adjacent, and it is...
Still in my brain.
Top 3 wishes you
Right.
make. Top 5. Top
Oh.
3.
We've done that before.
Oh,
Have we
We've
done that?
done that before. Yes.
yeah.
Well, that's a bummer.
Well, it's okay. I agree that we probably have done that before. It's definitely not on since I started keeping a record of it.
yeah.
We did our top commandments, but we don't have like top wishes or whatever. Wishes is
Top
tricky though. In
Well,
general.
when we did it, we specifically
Commandments
phrased
one
it
was very
as
funny.
top 3 selfish wishes.
We'll work on it. We'll workshop it. We'll
workshop, we're working it out.
Yeah.
Anything you
I mean,
want to
I'll
say
do
about?
it again, but I'm probably going to give my same answers.
No, we're not going to do it again.
Well, no one remembers. No one remembers.
I don't remember.
Anybody want to say anything about the 100th episode? 100 episodes of this show? We talked a little bit
Kind
about
of
the top of the
crazy that
show.
we like
Yeah.
got to that point with it.
Zach's giving us an applause right there. I will say this about the
He's
show.
fun.
When last October, when I was at my most, I don't want to do this anymore, I still wanted to do this. Extras and Epilogues has become my favorite show to do because a lot of people know me from video games. Obviously, I own game. You wouldn't know it right now, but I own Gaming Grounds down on Broadway here in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. So a lot of people associate me with video games, and I do love video games, but I love movies more. I have loved movies my entire life. Movies have always been my favorite thing in the world. I mean, it's why we do the Hollow Z Tales, is because we love movies.
Yeah.
We love writing. So this show is great because we get to explore a lot of the films that we loved when we were kids, or as you know, when we were younger, and sometimes it doesn't always work out, like, you know, Dog Soldiers, and sometimes you're reunited with a film that you forgot how much you loved. For me, that was Moulin Rouge. I forgot how much I loved that movie. I said it was the best movie we've ever reviewed, and I stand by it. That's still my favorite film, I think. But it also introduces us to new films that we would have never watched otherwise. For Cody, that was Fateful Findings, unfortunately. So it's just a
You say
great show.
unfortunately. I mean, you know.
It was a good show. It was a lot of fun. This show, I feel, is the most coherent show we do, and that's saying something. So here's, I'll tip my bottle up to 100 years of Extras and Epilogues,
100 years,
or whatever it is.
Episodes.
Well, it'll be 100 years. When we started this, I'm looking back at the archive, and I remember that. I mean, literally after episode 1, we were like, "Hey, let's do like a themed thing," because I was reading that book about the movies of 1999. So we did that for a little while, and then pretty quickly we were in October. Well, then it was we got to do horror movies. The theming was never really meant to be like a big thing, and then it just became the entire show. We did a whole year's worth of themed months last year. We've started it this year strong as well.
Because we were just
they
picking
keep
random
evolving.
shit at first. We were just like,
It helps with the
what's new?
structure, though. It helps
Yes.
narrow things down.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
this would qualify for this month.
Yeah, it seems like it was random, but it really wasn't. If you go back and look at it again, we did the films of 1999, like right after Evil Dead Rise. We did Barbie because it was brand new at the time.
Right.
And then after that, it was Halloween, so we did October.
Okay,
well, we started Halloween in September, to be fair. But
so Evil Dead Rise was the only random one. And again, for what has become what has become our most iconic show since probably either Horse Time or I Want to Believe. For it to start just on a random idea for a movie that, again, I love Evil Dead Rise, but I wouldn't say it's nearly as good as some of the other films we've reviewed on the show. So,
and I didn't, as I recall, say
you
that,
didn't.
So
No, I think you were either one down or you were neutral. You didn't hate it, but you didn't love it.
I was neutral. Yeah, I know that I didn't go. I am reasonably certain, anyway. I should say that I didn't go down. I think I went right down the middle on it.
It's not like, say, Friday the 13th that even Tanner gave a thumbs down to when he picked it.
Which he picked.
Dang.
He picked it.
I think it was part 6.
Even
it's the final chapter, whatever that one is. I don't know.
Even he said it wasn't that good, and I was like, well, honesty. That's what I appreciate.
And I know we've talked about this a little bit because we did that kind of the one episode back in December, but man, we have been through some bizarre, like, do you guys remember that it was almost a year ago now that we watched every single Star Wars movie?
Oh God, that was too
the entirety of May.
That was too much.
Yes.
Oh, it was a lot.
Oh, no, it's never too much. I will do that whenever.
It is almost a year to the day. Well, I'll do it without watching that shit-ass animated one again.
Yes.
It is almost a year to the day that we watched Mad God.
God damn it.
God, it was April 17th. April 17th of last year, we watched Mad God. It was our third film of Animation April at that time.
Easily the most, hated movie we've ever done. I just...
bad.
I think
it was bad.
I was more irritated at probably Space Jam 2, and that's Zach's fault, for the record, that he made us do that. But Mad God was the one that I think I drew the line on.
It's so bad.
If you compare everything to Mad God, suddenly a lot of scores go up. Tokyo Gore Police is suddenly one thumb up.
After we watched Mad God, here's a quick rundown of the things we did for the next several months. All the Star Wars films, Jurassic Park, Jaws, Top Gun. I'm not going to read them all because Bad Boys was also kind of but Independence Day, Men in Black, Deadpool and Wolverine, Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I had to wash that shit out of our mouths.
Banger after banger after banger throughout the entire summer because of how bad
Mad God was. They're like, no, we're not even chancing it. We're watching good ones.
I would like to do another insane month if we can. And I
mean, we certainly should. It's definitely a thing that should happen.
I think we should do a Marvel month with Doomsday coming out, where we watch all the Marvel films. But hear me out.
Those are so long.
Doomsday's a long way away, and it would have to be more than a month at this point.
We could split, unless we did just the mainline Avengers films. We could probably do that.
Because if you just do those, there's only 4 of them.
Right, but hear me out. The other side of that, with the rumors, is I'd like to do the mainline Avengers films, but then in the double feature, because we haven't had a double feature in a while.
Do the X-Men
films. Yeah.
Well, Doomsday's not out until 2026, so we got time to workshop it.
Okay. I'll try not to have any more surgeries till then. We got to cut this off now. This is one of the longest episodes we've ever done. The theater.
It's the 100th episode.
It's the 100th episode. We're celebrating. I'm drinking. Okay. I don't normally do that.
We own the network, bitch.
Right.
Get up at 4, bitch. We'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow, as far as you're concerned, with an all new After Dark. And next week we'll do it all over again. The balcony is closed. I want to thank Hunter and Lindsay and Zach for coming on and being with us here tonight. Of course, we'll see you guys tomorrow for an all new After Dark. And until then, Hunter, the floor is yours.
Oh man, should it be? I guess it should be. Part of me feels like I should go somewhere else. Okay, here we go. But to be free. Not to have to go, poof, what do you need? Poof, what do you need? Poof, what do you need? To be my own master, such a thing would be greater than all the magic and all the treasures in all the world.